The Todd Shapiro Show. Canada Laughs. SiriusXM 168.
God, you guys look alike.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Wow.
Yeah, you have a nice. Your hair is so similar. That's what it is, Dan and Eugene. It's you get great hair.
Well, I don't want to say that
He's
this
got great
happened
hair.
after this, but you know, you did get the Rachel after I got the Rachel.
Wow.
You know,
Smack right in the face.
That was it. How about
Yeah,
that?
that was a little
How about-
catty.
just saying,
Little
how
How
catty.
about that to kick
it's just
out
honesty in a world of in Trump's America.
Yeah.
You know,
Out of the gate.
just
I-
being truthful and honest, and
well, there is truth in that. I think
it
I
works.
just
I'm not
said,
saying it
"Hey,
doesn't work. I
look
said
what
run with it.
Look what it did for him. What about me?
Yeah, you too could spend your life talking about the hills.
Yeah. So that was that was that. That's a good look.
You'd be surprised how far a haircut can take you. You know what I mean? Ted Danson, look at that guy.
It's true.
40 years he rode that haircut. And it was fake. Who knew?
Is that fake hair? Is that
The
the armor?
episode where he
Ted?
lifts up his piece on
Oh,
Cheers
yeah.
and
Ted's-
everybody
he's
is like,
been
what
awake
the
for
hell?
40 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, good
Great
for
man.
me.
It's great on Curb. Great on
Yeah.
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
He is.
You know, like Eugene, you know Larry David?
I do know Larry David. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
like yeah. Have you had dinner at his house?
No, I've had dinner with him.
Yeah.
Not at his house. Although I don't really think he invites people to his house.
He doesn't feel like a host. You
No.
know what I mean?
Not the hostess or the mostess.
More like a,
No.
what's it called? A recluse or a curmudgeon.
No, he's no, he doesn't. But he's got. Well, you've been in.
I auditioned for Curb last year.
Well,
Oh,
that's
wow.
that's
With
right.
him.
That's right.
which
Dan,
is, if you can
please do
think of-
tell.
If you can think of a more terrifying scenario, I ask you to do so.
Yeah.
But he was lovely in the room and was really generous. And they basically give you a little blurb about what the scene's about, and then you go in and improvise with him. Just a casual afternoon of improvising with Larry David.
Yeah.
So
So you get to make up your own lines. That's easy. That's good.
Yeah,
There you go.
exactly.
We need you to act it and write it.
And I was very much I don't think I was right for the part, but I was very sort of honored to be asked to come in, and it was great. He was lovely. You're expecting him to sort of be like, "Who's this guy? What's he doing here?" And that's it. But he wasn't. He didn't kick me out.
Did you on the yes and on the improv level? Did you do well? Were you pretty good with
You know
him?
what? I left thinking I did the best I could.
Nice.
Whether that was good or not is a whole other story. But yeah, no, I felt
If you can leave an audition thinking I did the best I could, that was a good audition.
it was one of those fluke
Because
auditions where
normally
I-
you leave an audition and just go, "My God, did
What
I
happened in there?"
screw that up?"
I should look for a
Blacked out
job.
for 5.5 minutes.
Hey, check out Eugene Levy with the humble brag over there.
Wow, my
Do you
God.
want to know my connection with Larry David?
I would
Please.
love to hear it.
I don't have one.
Okay.
Annie.
But she does have
That's a
HBO,
great
so look
story.
out.
Yeah, isn't it good?
It's
really
I guess
good.
I'm like 2 degrees of Kevin Bacon away from
Mhm.
him because of you guys.
yeah.
If you follow that,
Yeah.
No, the story's getting better for sure.
Yeah, right.
yeah, it's just I'm kind of improvising. You
Yeah.
know, I feel
Do you
like
want to
Larry David
retell
would
the,
be
his story with
pretty
that?
proud.
Yeah,
Do
exactly.
you want to go through all of our stories again?
Let's just do them again.
Yeah.
You want to tweet him and feel more
Yeah,
connected?
maybe, yeah, maybe I'll do
we want to
that.
do that. Well, why don't we start with you, Annie?
Oh,
Because,
boy.
well, I mean, it's 4 years in this Schitt's Creek now, premiering tomorrow night at 9 p.m. on CBC, and then it's on Pop in the United States as well. And this thing is really, I mean, it's an amazing story. We have this, a few years back, and people are unsure where it's going to go. And you talk about Canadian sitcoms who said it earlier. When you have some sort of success like this, like 4 years is kind of like 10, 12 years for a Canadian sitcom. And for you, you're relatively new, I understand, to sort of the acting space, especially at that time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how is this all feeling for you?
It's feeling amazing. Like things were looking very bleak before this show came into my life. And so, as soon as I got the breakdown of the show and saw who Eugene and Catherine were attached to it and who I've looked up to for so long, I knew it was going to be a great show, and I wanted more than anything, like I would sell my firstborn and secondborn and thirdborn to get a part on the
You,
show.
you don't have kids, do
Not
you?
yet, but
No.
She has 4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've
3 of them
already
are
dropped
gone.
them off, so
They're
yeah,
spoken
they're gone. Haven't seen them since.
But we do get the firstborn because that was
Is that
That
part of
was
the-
the
that
negotiation.
was contractual.
Yeah,
pretty
I stick
standard
to my
deal.
word. I stick to my word.
We pay here in Canada in currency of children. Not we don't have the budgets, but we'll take your kids.
That
There's
was it.
potential.
How badly do you want the part?
It was real bad. It was
Yeah,
real
yeah.
bad. But yeah, I knew the show was going to be something really, really special, and it was, and it is, and I think that the reason that it's kind of snowballing, it's just continuing to snowball in such a wonderful way, is because in this political, you already mentioned Donald Trump, so in this political climate, that's
Yeah.
an absolute garbage fire. This show is about a town of people who are just trying their best, and they're living in a town that practices love and acceptance and kindness. And I think to be able to escape to that, even just for 22 minutes at a time, is something that people are really looking for right now. So I think that's why the success is.
Yeah, if anything, the Roses came in there a bit snobby, didn't they? And they were the ones that sort of started to have compassion and empathy and learn and realize that there's more than just kind of big money behind them and material types of things. So Dan, being a writer on the program, obviously a big actor and playing David, how has your character evolved?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think he started out like an incredibly guarded, damaged, good. And slowly has learned to trust people, which I think is very foreign to him. And, at the end of the day, I've said it before, the show is really an exploration of love and what it means and the various forms that it can take. And you have these people who had quantified their relationships and love in monetary sort of superfluous things. They've bandaged problems with money. They really sought refuge in easy fixes that money can buy. So at its core, the show has always sort of been about the gradual realization that you don't need money to lead a fulfilled life. And I think that's season 4, where we sort of push our characters even farther into the understanding, into that sort of slow understanding. They're not.
Sorry, Andy. Just yeah.
No, oh, sorry. No, it's baby steps with the Roses. Like very,
Of
tiny
course.
baby steps. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they're slowly but surely starting to learn these lessons. I think Moira aside, I think she will never want to be in Schitt's Creek, but I do feel like the 3 other Roses are realizing that at least for the time being, they could learn some valuable lessons in this town.
Eugene, your character is obviously the father, and the guy eventually went broke, but now is making a run at business again, running the hotel. How's that going this year for you? Are you bringing your big business mind to it? Are we going to see success in that, continued success?
I think that the motel right now is an ongoing, very successful venture. It's funny with Johnny Rose, considering where he came from, running the second largest video chain in North America, and now he's spending the good part of a day trying to keep the Schitt's Creek motel, floating there. It is, he approaches everything the same way, which is, let's do what we can to make this thing a success. The same way he approaches his family in the sense that we will do, let's take this a day at a time and let's just get through another day and we will do this. We're not going to freak out. So let's keep everything on an even keel, and we will at some point kind of get through this. Just how he kind of operates, the polar opposite probably of his wife. But it's really a remarkable thing what's happening, to the Rose family. And at the core of the show always, as much as it was a fish out of water scenario in the beginning about a family that kind of loses their money and now what. It's really about a family that is learning every season to be more, learn what it's like to be a family, and things are kind of coming out incrementally with every family member, especially this year and this upcoming year, fourth season. I think you're going to see some.
It's
some lovely changes.
And sorry to cut you off, but it seems almost, and I can
I don't know
sense
how
it.
sorry you are. Actually.
Well, yeah, I'm like, you know what?
I'm
I'm actually ready to just cut off this whole entire interview. I'm out of here. I don't even want to do the show anymore.
And why do people keep dumping on Trump? I'm starting to feel bad for the guy.
Well,
No, I mean
He's joking, by the way. That's a joke.
Sure, he's made some bonehead moves. But really,
you know what? I'll tell you what's nice though, because whether you love or hate Trump, what you end up getting now is work like yours, which is a comedy, but people making a very conscious effort to have a good-hearted message at the end of that. And that didn't always happen within media. So there's a lot of balances. And I can sense it. And that's what I was getting at when I cut you off is you believe in this project because you know that within this kind of fun, interesting, eclectic humor and the differences of personalities in this town that we don't even really know where this town is, but we know it exists and we know that there's a lot of towns like it, is that people are coming together and they're diverse, but they're showing unification. And I think that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Before you respond, let's get to a caller because he's been on hold for a while, and I think he has a question for Eugene. Hi, you're on air. Hi. Oh, you don't have headphones.
Hi.
Did you have a question for Eugene Levy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was wondering, I don't know, what's it like to have another actress playing your daughter? Because I know that your daughter Sarah's on the show as Twyla, so I was kind of wondering just what is that like? Does it change any dynamics at all?
The fact that I'll repeat the question for those that don't have headphones on as comfortably as I do. That Annie Murphy plays my daughter, and yet my daughter's on the show playing Twyla, and is that kind of a strange thing? And it actually isn't that strange a thing, but as odd as that is to say, it's odd for me to be acting in the show with my son and my daughter, because I never stop thinking, hey, I'm acting in a show with my son and my daughter. Isn't that cool? But and the thing of it is, my relationship with Annie, who plays Alexis on the show, is really very close to the relationship I do have with my daughter Sarah, who plays Twyla on the show. I feel very much the same way toward Alexis on the set that I do in my real life with my own daughter, which I think is a tribute to
it's wonderful,
to Annie.
That's literally the best compliment I've ever received in my life.
Unless you don't like your daughter in real life.
Well, that's the button to all of this, is that they're estranged.
Wow. No, I haven't talked to my daughter in years, but
it's suddenly cold in here.
Thanks for the call, by the way.
Thanks for bringing that up. Thanks for that question.
Let's get her on the phone.
Terrible.
1-877-965-2844 if you'd like to call. So Dan, I've been following your career for quite some time, and it's so nice to see your success with this. And I asked your father last year when he was on the program what it was like to work with his son, and I'll tell you, he went on for 5 minutes about how it was far different than his estranged daughter. But and I guess I'd be remiss if I didn't take the opportunity to ask you what it's like for you to be now 4 years doing this with your father.
I mean, I think it's great, and I mean from the get-go, we've had the same end goal, I think, with the show. We've always known where we wanted it to land in terms of sensibility, in terms of just the sort of end product of it. And you have 4 years of learning that ultimately one person's going to be right or one person's going to be wrong when it comes to creative discussions. And I think what works is that ultimately, at the end of the day, whatever services the show best is what's going to, is what's going to land. And then it's just a matter of me mostly swallowing my pride and saying, you were right.
Yeah,
Or vice versa.
and not to bring up the word Trump, but I would imagine Eugene Levy could trump some decisions on the show. He's a veteran in the industry.
I trump very few decisions on the show, if the truth be known.
Oh, good.
The show's in very, very capable hands, and I've honestly just kind of stepped back and
But
let
it
the
is.
lad
I mean,
do his thing.
it's been great to watch too, because I think you wonder, or I've never had the opportunity to watch him work, and the way he conducts himself is like, you can't live up to it. There's an elegance and a grace to the way that both he and Catherine handle themselves professionally, in the way that there is this sort of general awe among our team. That just people, and it ultimately, I think it's a respect, and I think it's a kindness, and it's what's led to a very lovely team, because people feel respected.
So it's just a little slightly more class and professionalism than a YouTube star.
Yeah.
Don't get us started.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Wow, you're in line for a raise.
Wow. I've been saying some nice things. A tip, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll give you a tip.
Oh, yeah.
Get a little farther away from the microphone.
Dan, was it tough growing up with a famous father?
Well,
he loved it.
I hated it so much. Well, I was like a really introverted kid, and it's a strange thing to be out places and just have people, the weird thing is, and a lot of people, I guess, would never have the perspective to know what it looks like from the inside, when there's people sort of pointing and talking within an earshot of, there really is listen, you're finding yourself in a situation where people are talking about you, you're doing something right, and there's really no reason to complain. It's just a very bizarre thing to just the pointing and the talking, and no one really realizes that the people can hear because you've never been on the receiving end of it. But it's a strange dynamic. It's a lack of privacy, and it was hard growing up, because I didn't want eyes on me as a young kid.
And at what point? Oh yeah, but now it's
I'm
like
paying for it. Now I hire them.
At what point though do you go, you know what, I want to get into this, and I want to be a host, because you were a host sort of predominantly, and then you kind of transform into an actor, which is to be honest, I'm intrigued by it, because it's something that I don't think I could ever do as a host for 20 odd years now. But it's something that I'm amazed by. I think it's really cool that you've done it, and you've done it really well.
Oh, thanks. I never wanted to be a host, I don't think. I think in a way, well, granted, it was a very different sort of setup. I was entertainment reporting, which is not, I think if I were to ever do it again, I would want to do what you're doing, which is to have meaningful conversations with people.
That's cool.
Or, trying to, but, it's, things just happen for a reason. I just never felt right in my job when I was doing that. And now you stumble into these things, and now I can't imagine doing anything but this.
And it all has a path, right? And
Absolutely.
And you've worked hard on it.
And I did MTV as a means of coming out of my shell, trying to do something, go above and beyond what you would ever normally do.
You're speaking of the choir.
Try to do it. And it actually, had I not done that, I would never be here. So everything's a stepping stone, I guess.
I love it. Guys, your PR team has been great, and you're doing the junk. You have so much to do. They are wrapping me up here. But I'm like, honestly, just so grateful for your time. I'm so happy for the success of the show, and honestly, you're I said a humble brag. There is a humble brag here going on, Eugene. You and I said it last time, and I'll continue to say it. You're such a legend, but to see how you hold yourself, that filters down, and we need more leaders like that. And it must be so amazing, Dan, for you having him as your dad, and your TV dad, and Annie, you as your TV dad, who likes you just as much as his former daughter that he doesn't talk to anymore.
I completely, we're the lucky ones for sure.
Thank you guys so much for your time.
A lot of fun, Todd.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks. Tomorrow night premieres on CBC at 9 p.m. Make sure you check out the 4th season of Schitt's Creek, and you can follow them all across CBC or at Schitt's Creek. And honestly, go and check out this amazing show.
The Todd Shapiro Show, Canada Laughs, SiriusXM 168.